the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, or you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show. How are you? How are you this day? How was your week? How was the month? I want to know. I just got back from a awesome retreat-ish seminar conference in San Diego, and I am always reminded that I love high energy, high performing people that are growth minded, abundant thinkers, and I just love being in their presence. So if you're not feeling as abundant as you want to be, if you're not feeling as growth minded and as engaged and as intentional as you want to be in your life, I want to encourage you to seek out those relationships, those masterminds, those groups that are high level in that way. And it kind of piggybacks on what I want to talk about today, which is about our relationships and summoning the spark in them. But before I get into a 4-step strategy for summoning the spark, which I'm going to talk about in your relationships, I wanted to share with you what I teach about relationships, okay? And then sell you on the importance of them first, right? So how would you define a relationship? And I've probably talked about this before on my podcast, but it's really important to know. And it's really important for us to have a working definition before we get deeper into this work. So for me, any relationship you have is based on your thoughts. Any relationship you have with another human being is based on your thoughts. The relationship you have with money is based on your thoughts. The relationship you have with your body, food, the scale, traffic, the weather, your team, your company, your experiences, yourself is based on your thoughts about those things. So when we think about our relationship with other people, it really comes down to what I believe is 3 things. 1, what do you think about them? So in context with this show, I really want you to think about that person that's in your life right now that you want to summon the spark with. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your team, maybe it's your client base or your patient base, okay? So what do you think about them? That's the first question I want you to journal on, think about. And then secondly, what do I think about us? And thirdly, what do they think about me? And guess which one of these we think about the most? The last one, what they think about us. And a lot of us are making false assumptions about what we believe to be true about other people's thoughts. These assumptions play out in the way we interact with them, in the way we talk about them to other people, and they influence the way that we think about them. And it is natural, of course, as humans, we all want to be liked. We want other people to be interested in us. We are wired for belonging and connection and intimacy. But we must remember that our likability has nothing to do with us. It has to do with the person doing the liking. We have to know this. And when we do, we can focus on where the gold is. And that is in the first and second questions. And I don't think we spend nearly enough time in reflection here. So again, for the purpose of this podcast, I want you to think of someone who maybe you have lost that spark with, that spark for, someone that you want to reignite flames with, someone that you want to maybe reintroduce yourself to. And again, for many of us, maybe that's our spouses or significant others, but for others, it might be a long lost friend or a sister or a parent or an estranged child. Maybe it's with yourself. Can you think of someone that you would benefit from greatly if you were to summon that spark in that relationship? Now, I want you to ask yourself this question. What do you think about them? Maybe you journaled on that today. What do you think about them? And then I want you to answer this question. What do you want to think about them? I do so much work with my clients on relationships. And when I ask this question, they give me all of the reasons why they can't think about them in a way that would bring them connection and joy and love and peace. And we forget that we can choose to think about them any way we want. We forget that we feel our thoughts. The other person does not. We forget that thinking thoughts and feeling awful affects us. No amount of hateful thinking is going to make the other person feel hated. I mean, at least not without their permission. You are the feeler of your thoughts, and they are optional. And knowing this can set you free. So when I ask them what they want to think about, they usually share with me all the reasons that love and connection is not available for them. They share with me frustration and hurt and sadness. They usually offer up something to me that this other person has said something, or this other person has done something that was unkind or unfair or unjust, that they don't feel supported, that the way that they process their emotions is maddening, right? That they either feel called out or left out. They either feel attacked or abandoned, that they don't feel understood, that they don't have a voice, that they don't even care anymore to bother. What is the point? And then we get to remember the gift of choice. You get to choose how you want to think about the other person. Even if that other person decides that they want to continue to choose to be angry and hurt and mad at you, you get to choose love. And it always feels better. We think that we're justified in our hurt and our anger, as if that will show the other person, but it doesn't. It just disconnects you from the truth and the possibility of what could be. Now, I'm sure that not everyone is in this scenario of struggling to choose love over anger. And I'm hoping that most of you are not. I'm hoping most of you are in solid relationships where love is chosen, but maybe the spark isn't. Maybe we've gotten so comfortable in the day-to-day of our full lives. Maybe we've gotten so comfortable that we take for granted the awesomeness that they are. And we forget to think about them in a way that will make us feel connected and joyful and compassionate and feel sparked again. So wherever you are in your relationship, I want you to remember that you can choose what you want to think about anyone. So I was not going to share the story, but I'm going to, because I think I might have shared this on a podcast, earlier on, but I have chosen to love my neighbor for something that has happened a few years ago, and she hates me. And this is not an assumption, right? She hates me, but I choose to love her, because when I choose love, I win. Hate ruminates, hate compares, hate projects, hate dwells. Hate robs us from our connection to this life, and it separates us from the only truth there is. So I choose love because of the way I feel. Okay, so that's a little bit on what a relationship is and what it isn't. And it's also a reminder that your relationship with anyone does not exist outside of you. It exists within. Okay, so let's talk about why they're so important, why you might even want to listen to the rest of this and implement this 4-part strategy. So first, like I mentioned above, we are wired for belonging, real, genuine, authentic belonging. Do you have belonging thoughts, or do your thoughts separate you from others? We do that by way of comparison. We do that in envy. We do that in judgment. A belonging thought is how in any situation can I love them, me, and the relationship. Secondly, relationships are correlated directly with our longevity. One of the longest studies and research around this topic was written in the book called The Blue Zones. So the blue zones are communities in the world that have the most centurions, people living over 100 years old, and not just living, but thriving. And it's not because they eat greens and work out. Rather, they eat meatballs and they smoke cigars and they drink wine, right? But the one thing that differentiates them from other communities in their community is their community. It is the people that they love with and celebrate with and dance with and embrace with and connect with. So do you want to live longer and healthier and happier? I mean, I guess a better question is, who doesn't? I've never met a single person that ever said, you know what, Leah, no thanks. I don't care to live longer. I don't care to live happier. I don't care to live healthier. I'm out on that, but thanks. And yet when I challenge them on why it is that they would choose anger over curiosity, contempt over compassion, hate over love, when the choice is optional, they are basically saying, I'm out on that. I'm out on choosing a positive, meaningful relationship with this person. We forget that what makes it positive is not because the other person is perfect. What makes it positive is the choice to see the goodness over the badness. It is choosing to know, really know, that most of us are in delicate conditions. Most of us have unhealed hurts. Most of us want to be good, and yet we fall short of that goodness sometimes. It is choosing curiosity and wonderment, compassion and love. It is understanding that hurt people is not just a philosophical concept to excuse behavior. It is a condition of our humanity. And with that said, we all get to decide how much curiosity and compassion and grace to extend in violations of the heart. But when in doubt, choose love. And this goes for yourself as well. Okay? So now you know what a relationship is. I hope I've sold you on the importance of it, right? Who doesn't want to live longer? That's the importance of it. So now, how do we reignite the spark? So here's 4 ideas. The first is remember. Okay? Remember why you fell in love with them in the beginning. This goes for that spouse. This goes for that parent. This goes for that sibling. This goes for that team. That goes for that new person that you just hired. Okay? Why did you fall in love with them in the beginning? Okay? Can you remember back to the first dates, the first car rides, the first conversations? Can you remember the novelty in the relationship before it got familiar and forgotten? Can you reconnect with that? And before you dismiss this because you don't believe that the other person, right, is not deserving of you doing this work, remember, this work isn't for them. This work is for you. You deserve the love you feel when you feel love. You deserve that renewed spark that feels rejuvenating for the soul, that feels youthful and playful and exciting. You deserve it. Can you tap into those first feelings and re-experience them? Maybe look back at pictures, or maybe play songs that were shared, or maybe remember and recreate the feelings of butterflies. Remember. Okay, the second idea is to rediscover. Rediscover newly. One of my favorite ways to summon the spark with the people that I love is to try something new. Maybe it's a new restaurant, a new concert, a new Netflix series, a new dish to make, a new Sunday routine. I talked about wants and delays a couple of weeks ago on the show, but where have you stopped wanting in your relationship? Are the firsts all done? First house together, first concert, first overseas vacation? Never stop creating firsts in your relationships, in your marriage, in your friendships, in your leadership. Don't fall into the rut of doing the same thing every day, going to the same restaurants over and over again, having the same choices to choose from. Brainstorm with your person all the different ways that you can rediscover this life together? Can it be through fitness, through prayer? Can you work on your legacy plan, your financials? Can you invest in real estate together? Can you build something? Can you change the way that you start your mornings? Can you change the way you end your days? Can you look at each other newly? Can you hug and mean it? Not just a little side pat with a kiss on the cheek, but can you hug like heart to heart and hold that hug for 4 minutes? Yes, 4 minutes. Try it. And I want you to tell me how you feel. You will feel differently. Can you kiss? I mean, really kiss. When was the last time you felt a kiss? Where can you add in an element of surprise? Maybe a note, maybe a mailed letter, maybe a text or a video message. Where's the adventure? Can you commit to doing something new every week? I want us feeling our relationships again. And that feeling is the spark that I'm talking about. Okay? Number 3, reconnect. If you haven't taken the time to get to know your person since COVID, I'm going to say something that might upset you, but I am here to challenge you in your potential. If you haven't sat with your person and reconnected with who they are, what they think, what they feel, where they feel supported, where they feel scared, what they learned about themselves, the world, and what they no longer trust, you don't know them. You don't. This is not a conversation about COVID. It is a conversation about how we, every one of us, were affected some way by it. How could we not be? It changed the way we worked. It changed what we believed to be true. It challenged our trust. It challenged our decisions. It rocked our confidence. It took us out of our rhythm. And it doesn't matter your beliefs about COVID. The fact that you have beliefs, had beliefs, thoughts that you supported with biased evidence created the experiences that you did not have before COVID. Can you reconnect? Can you get to know your person newly again? What they dream about, what they want in their life. I was talking to a client of mine who wanted to re-engage with his wife, not because anything was wrong, but because he knew that there could be more. And I asked him if he knew her love language. And I know that I've talked about Chapman's work before on this show, but basically the quiz draws out how you want to be loved. And knowing that about your person is awesome. Not just your spouse, your significant others, or your kids or your friends, but knowing this about your team, about the people that you employ. If their love language is words of affirmation and you keep giving them gift cards, you are missing out on a huge opportunity. Ask for feedback. Ask them how you can show up for them better. Ask them for what they notice about you when you're happy. Ask them about what they notice to be true about you when you're stressed. Ask them how you can support them in their challenges. Make the time. It's important. And if we are not being intentional in our reconnecting strategies, we are most likely disconnecting unknowingly. And the last one that I want to offer up is recommit. Speaking of being intentional, okay, we must recommit, redecide that our relationships are worth it. No matter how exhausted we are, no matter how tired we are, no matter how familiar same is. Same doesn't reconnect us. Same doesn't reignite the spark. We have to decide that we are worth it, that they are worth it, that we deserve loving and joyful and adventurous relationships. Notice I did not say perfect relationships. The peace in relationships comes from dropping the expectations that difficulty and challenge and hurt should not be part of the journey. They should almost be expected as opposed to being surprised by them. I have a client whose husband is pretty impatient. That is a source of contention for her. And he gets mad at her when she runs late, when she doesn't have things done when he wants them done. And I asked her how long he has been impatient. And she said to me, Leah, 30 plus years. And what I offered her was, why are we surprised? It's like the weather. I live in Iowa, and I'm always so fascinated when people are just shocked that it snows in May sometimes. Why are we shocked? Why are we surprised by traffic? Why do we let ourselves get so upset by something that we should just expect? Now, again, I'm not saying not to have boundaries. I'm not saying to be a doormat. I'm not talking about abuse in however way you want to define it. I am talking about the nature of our person and committing to not be surprised about who they are and who they've been. Can we just think about them as some traffic, a little bumpy, maybe a detour, maybe some delays, maybe some potholes? So can we recommit to doing the work, to remember who they've been, remember why we fell in love with them to begin with? Can we recommit to doing the work to rediscover newly? Can we add new things, new ways, new restaurants, new travel, new experiences? Can we add that into our relationships again? Can we recommit to doing the work to reconnect with our people by looking at them again, seeing them again, hugging them again, finding new ways, right? To reconnect newly, find out who they are again, and then recommit to that relationship. Your thoughts about the relationship matter. I want you to choose how you want to think of them. That will allow you to feel love. We can't continue to think about them in ways that disconnect us. We can't continue. I guess we can if we choose so. I want you to choose empowerment for yourself. I want you to choose love and joy and happiness for yourself. I want you to choose that for you. Not because you think that they're not deserving of it, but because you are. And if you struggle getting to love in your relationships, if you struggle getting to love with yourself, get a coach. If it's not me, find somebody. Don't rob yourself of this feeling. Because when you rob yourself of this feeling, you rob the world of it being shared by you. And what I know for sure is the world needs more love. It needs more love, and it needs to start with choice. It needs to start with you choosing love for yourself, you choosing deservingness of yourself. And if you're not sure about coaching, if you're not sure it's the right thing for you, get my clutter-free course. In that clutter-free course, we work through mental clutter, right? The thoughts that get in your way of truly choosing love for yourself. We work through emotional clutter, right? I tap you into an emotional intelligence that you don't know unless you've cleared the clutter to free you to truly tap into it. I teach you how to tap into love for yourself, but you got to clear out all of the clutter, all of the rumination of hopelessness and despair and anger and bitterness that keeps you stuck feeling joy and happiness and love. We clear temporal clutter. Why is that important? Because so many of us feel so busy and so exhausted and overwhelmed that love isn't a choice because we think that it's going to require more time. How about I just free you up an entire month of time so that you can be more intentional and choose on purpose with the time that you have to create little surprises, to do little texts, to allocate that time to reconnect with your people. We clear up behavioral clutter by the way you show up, the habits that you create. So again, if you're not sure that you want one-on-one coaching or group coaching, take this clutter-free course. It is the most affordable program that I've ever put out into the space because I know how important it is. because I truly believe that you can't live the best of your life to the highest possibilities and potentials of it when you are stuck in all of the clutter of it. Your best life, I believe, is found when you clear the clutter. So if you're interested in that course, you can check out my show notes. You can take that course and just see the freedom that's available to you on the other side to choose love, to choose time, to choose joy, to choose happiness, to choose abundance again. So maybe today is that day that you decide to choose love for yourself, to choose longevity, legacy, health, and happiness. I hope you choose that today. Have an amazing one, my friends, and we will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rolling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahrolling.com.